Hello, everybody. Hello. Welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing great. I hope you're doing absolutely fantastic and that you're all having an absolutely wonderful day. And without any further ado, let's jump right into it. So, there's been a trend. Not sure if you've been paying attention to it. Bitcoin has become quite popular. Once again, don't know if people have seen it. And we've been getting an enormous amount of news quite recently about how much Bitcoin is being purchased by entities, ETFs and companies and stuff like that. And I think a lot of people have forgotten the actual news that we were getting beforehand, especially if you follow this channel and my other channel, Money Rules. Hello. You know exactly what I'm talking about because it's also daily. This really extreme level of news that we've been blessed with, dare I say, about the accumulation levels of Bitcoin. I'm going to go over these numbers and you're going to hear them. And then I'm going to explain exactly the hyper significance of it because I personally feel that the article just did not catch the actual mania that's really actually taking place. On-chain data has revealed that Bitcoin whales, they are saying that Bitcoin whales are addresses holding over 1,000 Bitcoin. Bitcoin whales now control more than 40% of the total Bitcoin supply. Once again, for those of you who didn't get that, addresses holding over 1,000 Bitcoin now have more than 40% of all the Bitcoin. This is according to market intelligence platform Into the Block. These large holders have been steadily increasing their holdings since mid-March. Let me try to explain. Do you remember the news that we got before, or rather the news that I told you because we were discussing it because it's also absolutely bananas? Where, you know what a corporate landlord is, right? There's a corporation who's a landlord. So you can find these videos online. I mean, they're literally everywhere where these companies are actively buying hundreds and thousands of apartments and homes every single day. Every single day. It's happening in Europe. It's happening in the States. It's happening in Latin America. It's wherever you look. So the current numbers that we have right now, I believe that corporate landlords, and I'll even use the numbers from the US of A as my example, it's believed that around 25 to 30% of homes currently right now are owned by corporate landlords. They believe that by the year 2030, that's 5.5 years away, that corporate landlords will own between 50 to 60% of all the homes in America. Once again, in 5.5 years, 50 to 60% of all homes will be owned by Blackstone and BlackRock and all the other REITs and all these other companies who are accumulating massive amounts of homes. What I always found interesting about those numbers personally was that it usually no one talks about 2035 or 2040 or 2050. Do you want to know why? Because by the time we get to 2040, all homes will be owned by these companies and institutions. And then you go, but wait, TMI, normal people also own those homes. Yeah. So when you talk about the actual percentage and you get to the 60, 70, 80% number, they will own 80% of all the homes in America. The other 20% are the families who have homes who don't relinquish them. Because what's also happening is these companies are literally going up to people's doors. They're knocking and saying, hey, We see, you can find this information. We see that the valuation of your home is currently $550,000. We are willing to offer you $625,000 in cash, same week closing. What do you think the average person is going to say to that? No, sir, I'm sorry, I do not want cash. I have no debt. Please leave. No, they're going to accept that offer, and this is what's happening. So I watched a couple of videos where they were talking to these people, and they were talking to these real estate agents who are dealing with these people. And one of them said she had 3 homes. She put these 3 homes onto her website, onto the listing. And she said she got about 15 different offers from people. Hey, I like the house, but it looks like it needs some work. I'll offer you $450 for it. I'll offer you $475. She said she knows when she's going to get that call. She got a call. It was from company. She said she couldn't disclose it. And they said, hey, we're going to give you the full 1.75 right now for it. And she said she knew that she didn't even have to go to the owners because they were looking for asking. So they were going to get the asking. And she said it's happening all the time. They're buying up the entire supply right in front of everyone's faces. When you hear that, Bitcoin whales have been in massive accumulation mode since mid-March. When you hear that, they've bought 40% of the total supply of Bitcoin, the bells should be ringing like a cathedral in your mind right now. Do you want to know why? For a number of reasons. This is only counting the addresses that have over 1,000. This is not counting any address from any individual or any company that has 238 Bitcoin who's continuing to accumulate. This doesn't count someone who has 999 Bitcoin. Those numbers of people who have 10, 15, 20 Bitcoin or more, they're probably holding around 60 to 70% of all the Bitcoin. Another problem. We know that millions of Bitcoin are lost and gone forever. It's a huge topic that more people should be discussing. What's the issue with that 40%? That 40% is going off of the 100% that we have mined. Problem is, 4 to 6 million are lost and gone forever. We will never see them again. So Bitcoin supply is a lot lower than we think. It's probably more so, maybe around 13 million in total. Maybe. That means that 40% from these whales is a lot higher than 40%. Thus the 60, 70%. When you talk about the accumulation rates of, and I dare say, normal people who have Bitcoin, who want more Bitcoin and have no interest in relinquishing it. I'm not sure if you've been on Twitter in a while. People who like Bitcoin really like Bitcoin. Their expectations of Bitcoin hitting 6 figures. And when I say 6 figures, I don't mean 100K. I mean $500,000. We're getting constant discussions of Bitcoin being anywhere from $2 to $4 million in 5.5 years. There are a lot of people, as I've mentioned before in multiple videos, who are accumulating who have no interest in selling. Why? Because they're like, if Bitcoin's going to multi-million dollars in the next couple of years, why would I relinquish my coins? When you talk about that these ETF issuers are holding over 1 million Bitcoin over the course of a 3 to 4 month period, the accumulation is happening very, very fast. It is nearly impossible for me to put it into your head that there's not a lot left. That's why I gave you the corporate landlord story, to really put it into context. If these people are holding 40% of the total supply of Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is expected to basically do a 20 to 40x in price over the course of the next 5.5 years, these people don't plan on selling. They're going to be buying more and continuing to hold. Do you think they're looking at the story going, guys, I think 40% is enough. Let's leave some for normal people. When I tell you that we are going to enter a very spectacularly weird time in human history where me and you, are currently witnessing a shift away from paper and away from fiat into purely digital in all aspects of life. We are the generation that's witnessing the dare I say, demise of the US dollar. We're seeing it actively happening before our faces. They can't get inflation under control. When you talk about the trillions of dollars that are moving into Bitcoin over monthly, bi-weekly basis, these people are choosing to invest their money, their fiat currencies, as opposed to leaving it in fiat, leaving it in their bank account, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, you name it. And they're choosing to put it into crypto in a very rapid manner, almost like a weird, staggering kind of manner where like maybe something is going on and they understand that fiat currencies don't have that much longer and therefore they're putting it into the next stage of finance. The problem that I have with multifaceted at this point. The problem that I have is that no matter how much news we get like this over the years, it's the word's not complacency. It's the lack of interest from a lot of people who are within the cryptocurrency market. If your grandmother doesn't care about this, I got it. Cool. Hi, Granny. I can't help her understand what's taking place right now. If you have friends who aren't in the market, poo on them. Sure, fantastic. They'll be calling you in a couple of years for loans, probably. That's going to actually happen, so make sure you watch out. This is why I always say don't let anyone know how much crypto you have. But when people who watch my videos, when people who are in the market don't understand these numbers, it makes me a little annoyed. They're buying as much Bitcoin as they can. There's no new Bitcoin entering the market. Remember we had that discussion 2 days ago? Because I do. All the new Bitcoin that's entering crypto exchanges is from people who are in the market, who are annoyed, who are whatever, and they're selling off their coins because they're exhausted, they're fatigued. They're the weak leaves on the branch, and they sell their coins, and then it gets bought up by the whales. That's all the new Bitcoin that's entering the market. When people who are mining Bitcoin are selling their coins to keep the lights on, we know that banks and central banks are buying those coins because we've had news stories on it. We know that there's no new Bitcoin entering crypto exchanges except for, and I don't care for the term weak hands, but them who are selling their coins. We can't keep getting news stories every single day. We literally can't. It's mathematically impossible. Of hearing that these people are buying $550 million and $800 million worth of Bitcoin every single day. Every single day, 17 times the amount of Bitcoin that's mined that day. And for everyone to just kind of sit there being like, the prices aren't. Do you understand what's taking place? Do you understand what it means to have the price predictions of a $2 to a $4 million plus Bitcoin in 5.5 years? Do you understand what it means that there are going to be maybe about 20, maybe 30 companies who are going to own all the single family homes in America? See, that's the one that hit home, because you sit there and go, well, that's crazy. Why are they accumulating so much? Even more, I saw a report that was even crazier. When they own all the real estate, they basically set the prices. They say what the rent is. The issue is that when you have 348,000 apartments and homes under your belt, the rental income that you're making is disgusting. So whenever there is a brand new development of 400 homes in a brand new area, guess who gets first dibs? It's not you. It's those companies who are in contact with the people who are building before they even have the plans drawn out. I want 100 of those homes sold out. We are witnessing that in Bitcoin right now. It's happening right before us. 40%, even if we had the entire supply circulating, 40% is being held by these whales. And that's not the numbers if we expand that into anyone who has over 10 Bitcoin. It's crazy what's happening in the market right now. It says, since mid-March, the amount of Bitcoin held by large holders has steadily increased. Addresses holding over 1,000 Bitcoin now collectively own more than 40% of the total Bitcoin supply. Can someone tell me what 3 letters are missing in all of this? There's 3 letters that are missing in this conversation. This data has nothing to do with ETFs. These are normal Bitcoin addresses. These are, see, remember, I told you, there was a time before January 10th where we didn't have ETFs in the market. Whales have been buying consistently for years. I remember sitting here blue in the face, Bitcoin $17,000, and I'm like, do you see the whale activity that's happening? And then we sit here at $70,000 Bitcoin, face is still blue. Because when we hit a $700,000 Bitcoin, we're going to be having the same exact conversation. These people control and own over 75% of the market. There's still another 100 and some years to mine all the final Bitcoin. They are planning by 2030 to have complete and full control over this market. Complete. Do you understand what it means to be able to hold fractions of the new world, the new world reserve currency? Do you get it? Do you get why there's so much money rushing into this market? Because they know how big Bitcoin is going to be. If you have the chance as a company, an institution, you got money rolling around where you can throw that into this market and you know that Bitcoin's going to hit multiple millions of dollars, making you a multi-billion-dollar company, making you a multi-millionaire, a multi-billionaire, or the first trillionaire on the planet, well, you're going to do anything that you can to buy as much as you possibly can. This news is crazy. This news is absolutely nuts. And I sit in at one, I sit here sometimes. I mean, between me looking at prices and wondering how we don't have a $300,000 Bitcoin, but also telling people this, showing people this, going over this, and heaven help me, should I tell friends who aren't in the market? I told you before a couple of weeks ago, I met these people and I was trying to explain it to them, and they lightly made fun of me. And it was one of those situations where it's like, how much longer can this go on? But I know that there are a lot of people, listen, there are a lot of people who don't even save for their retirement. So I cannot expect them to understand the idea that the US dollar won't be at the top spot in about 4 or 5 years. That's completely gone over their head. Also tying directly into this news, Bitcoin's inflation rate post-halving is now 75% less than the current inflation rate for the US dollar and 72% lower than gold's annual issuance. Bitcoin is currently rarer, for those of you who missed it a couple of weeks ago. Bitcoin is currently rarer than gold, mathematically. We know that gold is not that rare. You can sit there and argue with me as many times as you want. This is why Costco is selling you gold, because there's an abundance of it and they're looking for a way to get rid of it. Following the April Bitcoin halving, Bitcoin's block reward fell from 6.25 Bitcoin to 3.125, significantly impacting the cryptocurrency's issuance rate. Each halving event decreases the supply of new Bitcoin, tightening the market supply and potentially increasing the asset's value over time. With approximately 450 Bitcoin mined daily, the current inflation rate for Bitcoin stands at 0.84%. The most recent US inflation data, which is also a lie, for May came in at 3.4% for the US dollar. That is to say, the inflation rate that we've been told for the dollar is 3.4%, and for Bitcoin, it's 0.84%. The issue is, there's so many issues. You're going to hear that a lot. The issues is that the US dollar will forever inflate. There is never going to be a moment in our history where we hear from the Fed, we are not printing any more US dollars because of debt. They need debt to continue the system, to continue everything working. You need to print US dollars to inflate the US dollar, to devalue it, to be able to pay off your debt, but also to create new money for the system. It is a never-ending cycle. And we've already far established. The inflation rate is not 3.4%. Your rent in the last year or two did not only go up by 3 to 4%. The price of milk, the price of eggs, the price of bread, the price of everything in your local supermarket did not go up by 3.4% year on year. Therefore, telling us that the inflation rate is not 3.4, it's not. We just mathematically, we know this to be true. The problem is, we know exactly what Bitcoin's inflation rate is. It cannot be changed. It is hard-coded into the hardware. We know that Bitcoin's inflation rate is 0.84%, and in the next 3.5 years is going to be cut in half once again, making Bitcoin even more rare to the ever-inflating US dollar, euro, and yen. Isn't that fantastic? That's what I talk about. When you talk about the people who run the economy doing a terrible job, they're never going to get it right because of the system that they've built. It has to inflate. It is the only way for it to continue going. The valuation of the paper currency has to decrease. That is the idea of inflation. This reduction in Bitcoin's inflation rate marks a significant milestone. What? Another one? That's crazy. As it now undercuts even the lower boundary of gold's annual inflation rate, which they say ranges between 1% to 3% per year, which is also a lie for those of you who do not know. The number that's constantly thrown out for gold's inflation rate is always different. But we know, and you should know, if you don't know, it's time to know, gold is not rare. I just felt someone leave the video. I hope you have a wonderful day. The same exact way that diamonds aren't rare. We've gone over this before. We know it is a near exact science. We know how to find more diamonds and emeralds and rubies and gold and silver and palladium. It's no longer us, oh my gosh, look at that mountain. There must be some inside there. No, we know seismically how to find these things. We have machines and we have tools. The issue is that these companies who mine the gold and the emeralds and the diamonds and the palladium and the silver, they only release a portion of it onto the market. Because if they release too much, their companies go under. They're protecting a $1 trillion industry that they've created by lying about it. Google it. By how much they say, oh no, we only found 2% more. That's crazy. It's almost like gold is super rare or something. No, we know that gold is also in other planets and on asteroids. Like we know for a fact. The universe is made of all the exact same things. We know. Anyway, maybe that's a little bit too. So the point is, gold mining issuance contributed to a 1% increase in supply, while recycled gold is also considered in its inflation rate as well, which is also a lot higher than is being let on, which came in at 9% in 2023, leading to a net 3% increase in gold circulating supply, I'm sure. So even if we went to the upper echelon of that number and simply took the number 3 when it's probably around 15 or so, 3% inflation rate for gold, 0.84 for Bitcoin. Bitcoin is currently the rarest monetary asset that we have on the planet. Do you understand why we keep hearing about these companies who are buying hundreds and millions and billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin every day? Doesn't it seem weird that we're not hearing about BlackRock, Fidelity, PayPal, Visa, MasterCard, etc., throwing hundreds of millions and billions into gold? Have you seen any of the gold news quite recently? It's always very desperate. There are, 2 or 3 countries right now who economically have never done well. And the news that they keep putting out, especially in the last month or two, is that they're going to create a new currency. They're talking about creating a new fiat currency, and they're going to print it and then use that printed money to buy up gold to prop up that actual currency. The problem is this is what other countries have been trying to do for a while, and you need a staggering amount of gold to be able to even do so. But the problem is that that's not how any country actually operates. And I'm not saying the name of the countries because they are destructively corrupt. And they've done this before, because if you read the news, and especially all the stuff on the internet, they tried this in 92, they tried this in 2010, and also remember a couple of months ago, remember all the BRICS news we were getting? BRICS, for those of you who don't know, the consortium of very corrupt countries who've been talking about creating their own currency to dethrone the US dollar. They've also been talking about collecting gold and stuff. Oh no, what? Yeah, no, they've been talking about that also since the 90s. So a lot of times people in crypto, I don't know what it is. I'm not sure why people don't know the history of anything. That's why I would say read. Do your own research is very important. If you see something, read it. And read further. Like, oh my gosh, did this happen before? Yeah, countries have been talking about trying to dethrone the US dollar, since the 60s. And it's not going to work. And this is why all those other economies and countries continue to compete. So the point is, I hope everyone gets it. And I know there's maybe 45 people listening to this right now who get it, who are paying attention. But to all the rest who don't still get it and aren't understanding, I hope you have a great financial future. This isn't a joke. I'm not joking at all. You are witnessing the shift in history right now. You've witnessed the last 15 years and you've seen the movements of Bitcoin and the companies and corporations and countries who've gotten into the space. You know that the US government is holding over 200,000 Bitcoin, as are other governments as well. We went over that in another video as well. Tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin, and they're accumulating more all the time. They're mining the Bitcoin. You know that BlackRock and Fidelity are in this space. Whatever they get into, they want to own. You know that all the Bitcoin is disappearing from crypto exchanges. There are no new Bitcoin hitting exchanges. We keep getting news daily that 14 times the amount of Bitcoin that is created per day is being absorbed by these companies. There will mathematically at some point be none left. You are going to know people who are going to tell you with a smile that they own 50,000 Satoshis and it is going to make their life a lot easier because now they have money. You are witnessing all of this right in front of you. Isn't it insane? And there are still going to be people, because I still see you on Twitter and I still see you other places, who have no Bitcoin. How I don't get it. I'm not sure if it's just insanity. I'm not sure if it's people trying to really shill their other coins that they know we're never going to make it. I'm not sure what it is. So, as I've said before, when we get to a $500,000 to $1 million Bitcoin, we're going to sit here and have this conversation again. And there are still going to be a lot of people that they're always going to be stragglers. You will always live in a world where people just don't get it and they want to be late to the party. There are going to be people who only jump in on Bitcoin when it's over $1 million and they realize that they could have gotten 12x, literally 12x, the amount of Bitcoin if they had simply gotten in earlier. You have to see what's taking place right now, right? We have trillions of dollars flowing into our market. All that money could have been on other assets. But for some reason, the richest people on the planet are choosing Bitcoin. Why would they do that? What is happening to the US dollar? What's happening to US debt? What's happening to the economies of other countries right now? Why are they throwing billions of dollars per week into Bitcoin? I do sincerely hope that you've all enjoyed. I mean, sincerely. I do hope that you've all enjoyed. I do hope you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever the heck you might be. I do hope it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See